Welcome. Welcome to St Mary's University. My name is Penny Maddock-Jones and I am one of the programme directors for primary education. My PowerPoint has frozen. So my colleague and I run the primary education programme, and today I'm going to tell you a little bit about what you can expect if you come to study primary education here at St Mary's. So one of the first questions that we'd like you to answer in this webinar or in your heads is why you might like to teach primary school children. The tutors here at St Mary's are absolutely passionate about providing a fantastic education for our primary school children, and we at St Mary's train you to be an effective teacher for all years between the age of 5 and 11. So before you come here, you need to decide why you think it would be a good idea to be a primary school teacher. It is a wonderful job. I've been a teacher for 35 years and find it the most stimulating, rewarding career. But you need to go in there and you need to decide yourselves whether it's the right career for you. We'd like to ask you to research different courses in different universities. All of the primary education courses have a different focus or a different speciality. Our students really like the elective choices that we can offer you in year 2 here at St Mary's, and they find the partnership schools that we have incredibly supportive. So have a look at the other universities, have a look at the different courses, and then hopefully you'll decide that you want to come to us. We would suggest that you undertake some kind of work experience or voluntary experience in a primary school before you do embark on the course. We understand that that's actually quite difficult at the moment because of COVID-19, but as soon as schools reopen fully, we'd encourage you to go in and sit at the back of a class and watch and decide whether that teacher role is for you. So once you've decided that you would like to be a teacher, there are various options for the way that you can study to be a teacher. I'm going to talk about the first one here, the 3-year single honours degree in initial teacher training, but also at St Mary's we offer work-based routes. So if you're working as a TA in a school or a learning support assistant and you wish to carry on working during your degree, that is something we would recommend you looked at. It may be as well that once you find out more about the primary education degree that you're not quite sure, and you go and decide to do a different degree, perhaps in psychology or education studies here at St Mary's or somewhere else, and then at the end of that degree you do a postgraduate certificate in education. And then finally you might decide to do a degree and then go through a work-based training route, which is called School Direct. But we, of course, want you to come onto the 3-year programme, and we'd like you to think carefully about why you might like to choose St Mary's as your university. Now, we pride ourselves on the welcome that we give all students from a broad cross-section of society. We are a Catholic university, but we are open to all faiths and everybody. We would like to see all of you here at the university. We've been 50 years, so we think we're quite good at it, and that has been demonstrated by our Ofsted outstanding grade. They graded us as outstanding in 2019 for all aspects of our teacher training, and we're very proud of that accolade. We work very closely in partnership with schools across London and the South East. So you could be in a school in Wembley, in North London, in Croydon, in South London, or perhaps in Central London, in Westminster, or out towards Guildford and Reading in Surrey and Buckinghamshire. So we have a big partnership of schools across a broad area. Our students as well have excellent job prospects. our students following their training are very much sought after by our schools, and we encourage students to find a job in a school that really suits them so that they can use their career to grow their knowledge. And many of them, in fact, end up in schools with previous St Mary's students working in them as well. Just a glimpse of St Mary's, but some of the very lovely comments that Ofsted wrote about us. And I think that one of the things that we're very proud of is that community feel that we engender here at St Mary's. And once you've been at St Mary's, you will ever feel part of it, and you will come back here perhaps to do a master's programme, to keep in touch with us as tutors, to provide information to the current students, so that that relationship and that bond is very strong. We have a state-of-the-art library, the Naylor Library, with specialist resources, including many resources you can take out to school when you're on school experience. And the community in St Mary's organise a huge amount of lovely activities, extracurricular activities. Yes, a lot of sport, because St Mary's is very well known for its sport, but also for music, drama, and lots of other activities. In the education department, we have dedicated teaching rooms. When you get interviews, hopefully you will be able to look around these. And these teaching rooms are set up like primary school classrooms in small groups, where you can work with your peers during lectures, with lots of discussion and collaborative tasks. You'd walk into the teaching room and find lots of activities and resources on the table for you to use. Now, this will be slightly different this September with COVID-19 and the social distancing, but we hope by the time some of you come, we'll be back to normal. Now, St Mary's has a historic house attached to it at the far end, Strawberry Hill House, and we use that in many of our subjects as a teaching resource, and our students go in and teach children from local schools in that wonderful surrounding. And there's a little picture of some of our students dressing up in historic costumes to present to the children. We work very closely with our schools, and the leaders and teachers in schools that we work with are always very positive about our training. And as you can see, a brief glimpse of the campus with lots of people. It's very easy at St Mary's to get to know people because it is a small university. And one of our main accolades, I think, is the fact that staff and students all know each other by name, because we're able to get to know you on a very individual and personal level. Now, personal support and tutor support is one of the things that our students always highlight at the end of their studies as being one of the real positives, real strengths of our programme. You'll be allocated a personal tutor when you arrive at St Mary's, and that tutor will stay with you for the 3 years and write your reference. We have lots of support in student services for your wellbeing and mental health, and provide counselling when required. If you have issues related to assignments, there are subject tutors who can support you. And for academic writing, there is support within the learning development team, the library, and also a huge amount of online resources. We are very careful that we make sure that we cater for any individual needs. And those of you who do have individual needs and have had support at school, please do apply for us, because we will make sure that that support continues when you get to university. In the accommodation, there is also support through the resident mentors and the senior residents, which are third-year students, plus of course the welfare support in student services. Just a snippet of our lovely grounds, and actually those students are former students of ours now, all with jobs at, with primary school children. So library is a great source of support as well, and we have a lot of online resources for those of you who prefer to be at home to study and to use the resources from a distance. But of course the library themselves are a great place to work, and many of our students use them regularly. So our staff, of course, are incredibly important in this whole university experience, and we're all former teachers, so we know what it's like being in a school, and we also know about pastoral care from our experiences as class teachers and pastoral support before in our school days. And I think you will experience us modelling how we would like you to look after the children that you will care for in your own classes in the future. So St Mary's, if you come here, obviously it's a 3-year course and it's full-time, and I often get asked, what do you mean by full-time? Well, in year 1 you will have between 5 2-hour and 8 2-hour lectures a week, and those lectures will have directed tasks which will take you between an hour and an hour and a half in preparation for the next lecture, and you will also have submissions throughout the year. We make sure that the deadlines are not all on one date. We spread them out to ensure that your workload is even. We train you to teach children in Key Stage 1 and 2 from 5 to 11. So if you're looking to be a nursery school teacher, you need to look at another university, because we do not train you for that. We do have a lot of students who choose early years as an elective in year 2 and go on to teach in reception. So that is a possibility as well if you study our course. So what do we teach you? Well, we teach you how to teach a broad and balanced curriculum. So we teach you all of the subjects that there are in the national curriculum. But at the centre of our course is professional studies, which involves everything to do with how children learn, how you plan lessons, monitoring assessment, and of course the ever important how you manage their behaviour. We have 5 subjects that we focus on throughout the 3 years: English, Maths, Science, Physical Education and Modern Languages. They're our core, and then you have the other subjects on top of that in varying degrees of lectures, depending on whether you take them for elective or not. And then you have your school experience, which is a minimum of 6 weeks in each year. So in the first year, we focus on induction first, so getting you introduced to the course that you're on and to teaching in general, and preparing you to teach the national curriculum in school. And in late November, we expect you to go out into school for 3 days a week, coming back into university for 1 day a week, to prepare you for your assessed placement in January, where you're in school for 5 days a week. You go back into school just before Easter for 2 weeks to focus on English and Maths in the early stages of a child's education. And then, of course, we have all the core subjects, which you get a taster of 5 2-hour lectures, so that you can make sure that you know what you're doing and what you're choosing in year 2. In year 2, professional studies, again, is at the core of what we do, and then you have your English, Maths, Science, PE and Modern Languages. You then get a choice of 4 subjects, 4 elective subjects, and those elective subjects are listed on the next slide, so you can have a little look at those and decide what you might like to do. We advise our students in the main to take perhaps 2 subjects they're passionate about. One subject they are not very keen on, perhaps that they didn't like at school, but realise they have to teach when they get into school, so they need more information, and perhaps one that they're not very good at, because again, you're going to have to teach that subject at school. And it's interesting how different people's choices are from the beginning of year 1 to the end of year 1. When you've experienced everything in year 1, you often make different choices. You also have a cross-curricular project where you work in collaboration with your peers, and you have a longer school experience of 7 weeks in February, March time, where you will be doing a lot more teaching than you do in your first year. You'll be planning individual lessons and teaching them, but always with the support of your class teacher. If you wish, the certificate in Catholic religious studies is available in year 2 as part of the elective programme, but also you have extra lectures on that, so that and that's very good if you want to teach in a Catholic school, or if you have aspirations of leading a Catholic school in the future. So in year 3, you have lots of work to do because it's your final year at university. You obviously have the professional studies at the core again, and that you focus on assessment in year 3, and then your core subjects of English, Maths and Science. Students love the enhancement placements in January, when you're able to go into school and study or follow your passions, your interests, perhaps visit a year group that you haven't experienced to date, or perhaps to teach a subject that you haven't taught, really getting you ready for your preparation of your final school experience, which is 9 weeks in school. Currently, we offer a French and Spanish placement for those who choose foreign languages. Students go to teach English in France or Spain, and you get to choose one elective subject in year 3, where you go into a subject in real depth. A highlight of year 3, if not a lot of work, is the research project, and that is a subject of your choice, and our students often choose a particular subject, a passion, or perhaps a particular special educational needs, looking at strategies that they can use in the classroom to promote that subject, to support that need. Very important in year 3 as well, we support you in finding a job, preparing your application and preparing for interview. So how are you assessed? Well, we have a variety of written and practical assignments. You might be writing a lesson plan and commenting on it. You might be creating some resources, either for one lesson or a series of lessons, a resource pack for a particular topic area. You will notice that there is one exam in our whole degree program, and actually that's an open book exam. Well, it's not an open book, it's an exam which you get given the paper 10 days before, and then you are able to choose which question that you will answer, and then you hand in the paper or do the exam at the end of that 10-day period. And interesting, lots of our students are quite anxious about the exam before, and actually they find that they get their highest mark in the exam. So maybe exams aren't all that bad. Okay, so I've talked quite a lot about school experience. Obviously that is part of each year that when you come here. When you're in school, you will always have a class teacher, a mentor who will support you, and someone else in the school, the school-based mentor who oversees your training. And you will have a link tutor, so that's somebody who is attached to the university, either an internal subject tutor or an external link tutor, and they will come in and visit you and support you in your school experience. All of the work that you do in school experience is monitored through an online platform, so you are in regular contact with us in university. So we really do make sure that you are able to make great success of that school experience. And many of our students end up with jobs in schools where they've had a placement. And what we try and do during the 3 years is ensure that you get a choice of school, in the sense that you perhaps go into a Catholic school or Church of England school or non-faith school, maybe an independent school, maybe a really large school. We have a 7 form-entry school in Feltham, where that is, I mean, it's like a big secondary school. Or you might go into a 1 form-entry school. You may go into a rural school, or you might go into an inner London school, or a very urban location. So we hope that by the time you've finished your course, you've had experiences of different settings and you know what kind of school you'd like to work in. So how do you apply? Well, you apply through UCAS, and we're looking for a well-written personal statement. Now, it says accurate. Yes, you're going to be a teacher, so we do expect you to write in good English, and we do check that when your personal statement comes in. And we want you in that personal statement to talk about your experience, if you have any, of a primary classroom. It may be your own experience, it may be experience of supporting, you know, if you've been on work experience in a school, but we really need you to show commitment to teaching, and primary teaching in particular. And we want you also to tell us all about your personal interests and passions, because many of those will relate to working with children. Mention, of course, any jobs that you've had, because so many, you know, if you've been working in retail or in restaurants, or, you know, the communication skills, negotiation skills that you use in those jobs are incredibly useful as skills when you come to work with parents and other adults as teachers. So for UCAS points, just refer to our prospectus. It's all online. We do recommend that you look at that, and that you think quite carefully about those UCAS points. We have got some lovely videos of students talking about the course as well online, so we encourage you to have a look at those. Remember, because it's a teacher training course, you do need to have a level 4 or a grade C above in English, Maths and Science at GCSE. That is non-negotiable. That's a government requirement. You will also be required to have an interview with us, which is a good opportunity for you to come, hopefully, and visit us on campus and hear a little bit more about the course, meet some students and meet some of the tutors. Now, a number of years ago, you had to have skills tests. You may have heard of those, English and Maths, but now by the end of your course, you have to show that you have fundamental competency in English and Maths. And please don't worry about that, because we will certainly be helping you do that when you're on the course. And then you will need an enhanced DBS and a fitness to teach, which is just a very quick form for you to fill in, just confirming that you are physically and mentally able to teach. So I have finished, and I'm going to have a little look at the questions to see if there's anything that you want to, ask me. So somebody's asking about the amount of days that we have to be on campus. Well, it's quite difficult to be specific because every year it changes. In year 1, it will be between 3 and 4 days when you're in university. Our class times, we start at 9 and most lectures finish at 4, but some do go from 4 till 6. We try and bunch your lectures together, but we do find that 6 lectures, or 6 hours of lectures, 3 lectures times 2 on a day is quite intense. When you're in school, of course, you will have to be in school full time. You will need to be at school by 8 o'clock in the morning, and you probably won't leave school till 5:30 in the evening. So it really is a full-time job when you're in school. And we don't currently have a nursery on campus for students who have children, I'm afraid. And I am doing the foundation course. This, sorry, I'm doing the foundation course, yes. This is what you are, this is not the foundation course. So if you are, if you haven't got the right amount of UCAS points, we run a foundation course preparing you for our 3-year program. It ran very successfully last year, and 12 of the students who followed that last year are joining us next year. They prepared you for academic writing. You looked at how children learn and at other careers and jobs within education before progressing on to the undergraduate 3-year program, which is level 4 through to level 6. There are SEND electives. That's an interesting one. No, we don't run a special educational needs elective. Because we believe that every teacher is going to come across children and needs to know how to deal with children with special educational needs. So in year 1 in your induction program, you're introduced to special educational needs in a more general way. And then in year 2, the professional studies program focuses in on all different kinds of special educational needs. So you have a lecture on dyslexia, you have a lecture on speech and language difficulties, a lecture on autism, and you look at what you can do as a teacher to cater for those children. And then in all the subjects, we look at ways that we can also support children with special educational needs. So for example, in science, you look at how you would cater for children perhaps with a learning difficulty, how you would differentiate your materials, how you would arrange your resources for someone who had either loss of hearing or loss of sight. And then, in fact, their assignment is where you adapt a lesson plan for a child with special educational needs. So rather than having an elective, we have decided that it is core for everybody. However, at the end of year 2, once university has closed, we do offer an option for you to go into a SEND setting and spend some time working alongside a team of teachers, so you can observe what it really is like in a school. And a number of our students, not many, each year opt in their final placement to do their placement in a SEND setting. So for the specialisms, yes, you choose the 4 in year 2, and then you are invited to choose your top 2 to go into year 3. Sometimes the electives can't run because maybe 1 or 2 students have chosen them, but the idea is that you build on what you've done in year 2 in year 3, but some students do make a choice and choose a different elective at that stage. What is the interview process like? Well, currently we're doing it all online, but we hope by the time you are interviewed that you're able to come to campus, and you will be invited here for about 9:30 in the morning, and then you'll be brought over to the teaching block where you will meet some of the staff and your fellow candidates. It's always nice to meet the kind of people who you might have as friends on the course in the future. You then do a short writing test, which is just to check that you can write accurately in English. And then you will be told all about the course by myself or my colleague Kath. Then some students come and tell you a little bit more about their experiences on primary education, and then you're given a tour of the campus. During the tour, you'll have an opportunity to answer lots of questions, And then in the afternoon, you're divided into small groups of 7 or 6 or 7 or 8, and you'll be taken off to a room with 2 subject tutors where you will be given a topic to discuss, an educational topic, as a group of 3 or 4. And you will then be asked to present very briefly to the other group what you talked about. So just the key themes. So it's good for us to see you, 1, working as a group collaboratively, and 2, to see how you present. And then you will have a short 10-minute interview with one of the tutors, just really to make sure that we've made the right decision asking you for that interview day and giving you an opportunity to answer as many questions as you wish. Currently, we are interviewing online, but we're hoping, as I said, once social distancing and travel restrictions have been lifted, that you'll be able to come and visit the campus. So how many people do we accept on this course? Our current number is 100. We can accept up to 120 students, and that would mean that we'd have 4 groups in year 1 of 30 students in each group, and you would be taught as a group during those sessions. That would break down a little bit more in year 2. When you do electives, you might have groups of between 20, well, maybe 15 and 30 in a group, but we find a group of 30 works really well. Okay, so I'm just going to say, I missed the beginning, I'm interested. So you may be better if you are interested in working in school at the same time as a teaching assistant, that you actually look at the work-based route, the education in context foundation degree, and the work-based route, where students are able to work in school up to 4 days a week, and they come into university in 1 day. So I think that might be your degree, but the content of their program will be very similar to what I've talked about, but obviously it's all focused in on 1 day in school. The individual research project is a big project. It's 40 credits, so it's double all of the other sort of the value of all the other modules. And you start working on it at the end of year 2, where you come up with some ideas perhaps of what you would like to look into. As I said in my talk, a lot of students will choose SEND topics. So, you know, what strategies can teachers use to support dyslexic children? What strategies what resources can teachers use to support children with autism in the classroom? Or it may be how can teachers embed art, or music, or drama in subjects across the curriculum, or how can they promote a certain subject through others in the curriculum. And so you're asked to read and do a literature review, and then come up with some questions, and you use your peers as the sort of research base. Then you write up your answers in year 3 and produce. So you've got quite a lot of time for that research project, and students get really passionate about the subjects that they're delving into, and often talk about it when they have an interview. No, you do not choose Key Stage 1 or Key Stage 2. We are a Key Stage 1/2 provider, and during your time here, you have to have a placement in both Key Stage 1 and Key Stage 2. So a lot of our students in year 1 have placements in reception. I think it was about 65–70% last year had placements in reception. And so then in year 2, they would have a placement in Key Stage 1, and then in year 3 in Key Stage 2, or vice versa. All of our teaching teaches you about the curriculum right from reception through to Key Stage 2, because we think that you need to know what comes before if you're teaching in Year 6 or higher up in the juniors, and then if you're teaching in Year 1, why you are putting in those foundation steps for children, so you know where the children are moving towards. So really you need to know about the whole primary curriculum. So we're very proud that we are able to teach you about Key Stage 1 and Key Stage 2. That top question about the days on campus, I think I answered earlier, but I don't know whether that needs to be repeated. But just basically, most year groups are on campus for 3 to 4 days a week. Classes start at 9, can end at 6. They're 2-hour lectures with sort of, well, 1 hour 45 minutes with the movement time. And yeah, that is something that changes each year, the day that you have for study. But yes, we do try and ensure that you have at least 1 day a week when you don't need to be in university and you can get on with your work. Do you have yeah, and I think the nursery campus, I answered that. We don't have a campus nursery at the moment. Now, I don't know if there's any more questions. Thank you very much for all your questions. Is there anything else that you would like to type in and answer, for me to answer? I'd just like to say how much we enjoy teaching our students at St Mary's. We're very proud of their achievements, and one of the joys of being a link tutor, so I am, every year I am a link tutor. I go into school and see students in school teaching and support them with their development. And every time I go into school, I see students from previous years who are doing incredibly well as teachers, and it's really lovely to hear about their successful degrees as successful teaching and their successful life in school.